Hello everybody, this is Danilo from peacefulanarchism.com, out here in nature once again, enjoying the spontaneous order that is the world around us. Today I want to talk about the idea or the argument that we need the state because we need somebody who's going to make the rules. We need somebody in charge. Everybody has to comply with the same rules. There must be a uniformity. Somebody has to be in charge. Now, I think this illustrates the fundamental misunderstanding of what anarchists advocate, in that we advocate for no rulers, but not no rules. There are fundamental rules inherent in nature, in mathematics, in chemistry, in thermodynamics, in morality, in dating, that are commonly understood, that don't require a central authority to fabricate decrees and mandates punishable with violence. It's not necessary. Everyone knows if you try to violate the law of gravity, what happens? If you try to violate laws of mathematics, you just make bad mathematics. If you try to violate the self-ownership of another human being in the form of theft, assault, rape, and murder, there will be natural consequences. Whether it be by those individuals, those victims, or their families, or their friends, or a private security agency. The fundamental idea of anarchism and voluntarism is that nobody has an exemption to the laws of universal morality. And that is exactly what the state is. One giant exemption on morality. If the actions that the state or agents of the state do are done by private individuals, it is a crime. There is no exemption on morality. There can never be. So we are surrounded by a world of rules. As I said, the dating world, many rules about how to date, and it mostly involves consent. When there is no consent, that's not called dating anymore. It's not called a relationship. It's called assault or rape. So it's fundamental to understand that these rules that people by definition, by default, abide by, they were not formulated by some bureau, by some committee, by a group of bureaucrats sitting in a smoky room behind closed doors, inventing rules that everyone else must live by. No, that's not how the world works. Prices are not determined by some small group of individuals or a committee or a bureau. That's not how prices work. Prices, like interest rates, like money, the way money should be, are determined in the free market. Now, interest rates and money can be subverted and controlled by ruling classes, ruling institutions, and used and perverted to be used for their aims. But historically, these things are natural outcrops of the free market, of economics, of capitalism. So we all inherently live morally, for the most part. Most people do not use violence to solve problems in their daily lives. They don't advocate other people use violence to solve problems in their daily lives intentionally. They don't advocate for a large group to solve problems using violence. So why is the state some giant exception of morality? Why do people believe that if enough people get together and vote, that all of a sudden theft is not theft and it can be called taxation? Or all of a sudden it's not kidnapping and it's called the war on drugs? Or any number of victimless crimes. All of a sudden it's not mass murder and it's called war. Only when people fabricate this belief in authority, this idea of statism, do the world of morality that we all inherently understand as children in the form of don't hit and don't take other people's things, only when people fabricate these ideas is this world mutated and perverted and transformed into something monstrous and barbaric. I often ask people, what is the worst thing in the world, the thing that you would most want to see disappear? And many people tell me, war, ignorance, suffering, poverty. And I would assert that many of those things either stem directly or indirectly from the state or the idea of statism. Many people say we should abolish the government. No, there is nothing to abolish. What is the government? A group of men and women with guns taking your things, saying that they have a right to do things which you do not have, because they have a uniform, because they have a badge, because they are an agent of the state. And when we no longer recognize anyone to have an exemption from morality, we will by definition eradicate statism. It is not about abolishing the government. It is about recognizing that no one has an exemption to morality. You don't have to burn down the buildings. You don't have to overthrow the government. You don't have to assassinate anyone. Destroy all the buildings. Take away all the guns, all the tanks and the jets and the public schools. Give someone a switch to turn off government. If you could turn off government, if you could turn off the state and make a stateless society tomorrow, would you do it? You could, but it wouldn't change anything, because you have not appealed to the mind of the people. Those things only exist because the people want them to exist. They have created an artificial demand for the state. And so it is therefore incumbent on us as freedom-loving individuals, as voluntarists, to educate people that there is no such thing as the state. There are only men and women with guns forcing you to pay them and forcing you to pay homage to them and their rulers. So there is no state, there is no such thing as a government. There is only the idea of statism and the belief in authority. The belief that because some people have been voted upon by the masses, they can commit atrocities without reproach. They are beyond reproach because they have received the majority of the vote. And what is that called? It's called gang rape. It's called tyranny of the majority. It's called mob mentality. And that is not how peaceful people act. That's not how free people think. That is not civilization. That is the antithesis of civilization. So I implore you, Please educate your fellow man about morality, about economics, about business, about free markets, about capitalism. That is how you improve the world. There is nothing to abolish. It's just a belief. Thank you for watching. This is Danilo from peaceful anarchism.com. Enjoy nature.